guys, welcome back to another video. So we're back on the Mini with the micro engine project, and in this episode talking about the cooling system installation that I've just done. Hope you find it useful and enjoyable. Let's do it. Okay, so I've got the radiator roughly in the position I want. Okay, so my next step is to create some mounting brackets for it to fix it in this position. So I've decided upon, because this is the original Mini radiator, it's got some quite useful mounting points there, and the same on the other side. I think there's one there as well. So I'm going to create a bracket to mount it from this mounting point to the body here, and then similarly on this side, create from this mounting point to here. Okay, so to do that, I've been doing some CAD, also known as cardboard aided design. So funny. So what I've done, I made some marks and measurements and some folds in this cardboard, and I've come up with a bracket design like so. Okay, that should work. Okay, just that. Alrighty, so my next step is to mark this out in my sheet metal here. I'm going to make it out of 2.5mm sheet steel here, so it should be pretty strong. And to bend it, I'm going to use my new tool here. So this is a vice mounted press brake. It's quite handy. So this is a 4-inch vise. This is a 4-inch version of this tool. You can see there. So I'm going to use it to bend that steel. I've already done a prototype before. Unfortunately, there was a miscalculation in my in the length. Doesn't quite reach, so I have to do it again. But this tool works pretty well. So let's have another crack.
我心里甜如蜜，我高兴地说了声谢谢老师再见。我在操场上见到医院前，把他交到老师手。
There we go, finished bracket. Yes, I could have probably just done this in the vise and just bent it over, but this little vise press brake gives it a nice consistent bend. Looks a bit more professional, less shed built. So I'm going to offer this up, drill some holes for the mounting tabs, and then once I'm happy with the position, all that, obviously I'm going to do some trimming, make it a bit more presentable, and then give it a bit of paint. So yeah, quite happy with this new tool. Looks quite good. Yeah, one bracket fitted. Don't worry about that. I made a cut there at one point because I thought I was going to have to take all this inner arch metal out, which I didn't, so I'll be welding up that at some point. There we go, first bracket done. Mounts to there. I think I'm going to put rather than nut and bolt, I'm going to put a rivet on that just to make it easy to take it in and out as needed. Okay, and then I'll, like I said before, I'll trim up these brackets, I think, take up some of the excess material, clean it up, give it some paint. So next step is to work on the bracket for this one. I've already done a bit of CAD again, so let's get cracking with that. Okay, just completed the second bracket. That one ended up being a bit of a funky one because I pre-drilled my hole there, and I had condemned myself to having to reach the hole, but I had to drill more. So I had to make a bracket that will fit where I'd already put the hole, but it worked. That one and that one. These tighten up, rivet nuts put in here So I'm going to tidy these brackets up, put some riv nuts in them so I don't have to go behind them with a nut. Give them a bit quicker paint, and we'll go from there. Okay, test fit. So I've just used a nut and bolt, the lock nut, for the time being, because I just realised in my riv nut I've ran out of M6 riv nuts. So I'm going to have to order some of them. So that's on, it's pretty sturdy. It's not touching the engine. The engine's free to vibrate and that will be against this. I think I might just trim the gearbox mount here a little bit, just give it a bit more clearance. It's not touching, but there's not much clearance. Alright, so pretty pleased with that. As you can see, I've zip tied the electric fan on. Don't worry, that's not how it's going to stay. I've got a fitting kit, which I'll show you in the next video. Next clip. And for those of you who are wondering, I thought I'd just check. I'll just quickly put the bonnet back on, and all is good. It's not touching, and the radiator is definitely the highest point, which is good for bleeding. So happy chappy. Okay, time to properly fit this electric fan to the radiator. Okay, so this is a 10-inch sucking fan, so it has to be on this side, as I mentioned earlier, of the radiator. So offering up to the radiator, if you're wondering why I'm using this shitty old radiator that came off the Mini, good question. Anyway, moving on. So it fits nicely. Oh shit! It fits nicely top to bottom, pretty much. I think with one hand, should put the camera on the stand. But it's not flush against the fins on the radiator, and that is because of these side pieces here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is trim these only where necessary, so the fan will fit flat up against the radiator, maximising the airflow for cooling. So let's do that. Okay, trim the sides. The fan is now fairly flush to the fins. I didn't film it because, I'll be honest, that was a bit sketchy and I was not proud of myself having to do that. We all know what I should do is buy a new radiator, but needs must at the moment. Well, I can buy a custom radiator with a fan already fitted, but yeah, needs must at the moment. I like to try and reuse things if possible, so I think this will do for now. Okay, so let's get on to securing the fan to the radiator.
I chased a sky that would stay, left the present in the dust, reach for forever, threw away today, while life went on without more trust. Time's a thief, stealing breath. Here I stand, lost in depth. It's now or never, the clock won't wait. A gift wrapped in moments fleeting fast. Don't hold your breath, embrace.
There we are. That was relatively easy. So these are on now, quite tight now. So I think obviously the next step is I'm just going to cut these off, cut off the excess off, and there you go. How to fit the universal electric fan to a radiator. Cool beans. Okay, radiator installed. And to be honest, you know what? The old radiator does look a bit old. and it'll bug me. So I thought, sod it, I'm gonna get a new radiator, and like magic, and boom, there we are. Okay, shiny new radiator fitted, looking good. Okay, brackets that I made for the original radiator seem to line up fine, obviously because this is a direct replacement for the original radiator. Okay, so in the next step I'll be looking at making up the hoses for the inlet and the outlet to the radiator. I think I'm going to put my old radiator back in just for mock-up purposes, so I don't damage the fins on this one, and try and keep it looking as good as possible for as long as possible. Okay, spent a few moments just getting my head around which hose goes where. My trusty Haynes manual with Nissan Micra here. So, obviously got my radiator here, got my thermostat housing here, and that's my return to the water pump line there, and the water pump's just down there. Okay. So that being the outlet on the thermostat housing needs to go to the inlet of the radiator, which is there. So that's a nice, relatively straight shot. I think the complicated one is going to be the return here. So this one needs to go from the radiator outlet pipe at the bottom. It needs to come round and get to here. So I think my plan is to do a more than 90-degree bend down here, go underneath the clutch lever, round and up into here. Okay, I think we've got some other bits not to worry about until after this, which is the stuff for the heater. So you've got the heater supply there, and then I think the heater return is just down here. You can see it, but it's just down there behind the water pump, next to the water pump. Okay, so I think I'm going to use a combination of rubber hose and hard mount, I think, to make it a little bit more presentable. So let's get cracking. Okay, first section. So from a thermostat housing to the inlet on the radiator. So I've purchased some of these black 90-degree silicone hoses. These are designed for 25mm OD pipe. So the connection on the thermostat on the mic is about 27, and that's about, on the Mini is about 27, so there's enough give in these hoses to accommodate both sizes on the same side, which is good. So my plan is I have a 90 here, angled slightly, and then to connect these two I'm going to use a L-shape hard aluminium pipe. I've got there. Okay, and then I intend to mount the hard pipe here off the front of the Mini here, and I've got some of these little pipe brackets here. Okay, so I mean I could do all this in just some flexible, but I want this to look cool. I think with the exposed aluminium tube in there, I think it'll look quite smart. The colour scheme for the engine bay I'm kind of going with is black and silver. Really, I'm trying to be consistent with that across the entire engine bay. So this should accommodate that. Okay, so I'll get cracking making the aluminium tubing 90-degree bend. So I purchased some 90-degree aluminium tubing 25mm OD. My original plan was to use some straight aluminium tubing I had and bend it, but as I found out, bending aluminium is quite difficult, being it's so fragile. It every time I try to bend it in my tube bender, it would just kink here. There's a few tricks on the internet how to get around it, filling the tubes with sand and stuff like that, and heating up slowly. But to be honest, I couldn't be arsed, so I've just purchased some ready-made 90-degree 1-inch OD bends. Okay, so let's put that out of the way. Ooh. So you can see I put the first one in position, so it's inserted there as far as it will go, and you can see it's not quite too long there to meet the 90-degree. So what I'm going to do is chop it down here so it'll go over, and then as you can see this tube comes with a bead at the end to go inside the tube, and you can put a Jubilee clip on the inside, help grip. So obviously if I chop it on this side now, I'm gonna remove that bead. So I've got a plan for that. So I'll show you. So I've cut it down to size, and like I said a minute ago, I've now lost that beaded end there. So what I've got here set up on my vise is a beading tool. So it does essentially the same thing as that. So you insert the pipe like so, this clamps down, and this acts like a die, and you can see, because that side on, that will press inside that groove and create a bead on the end of this pipe. Okay, it's a nifty little tool designed to be held in a vise. So let's try this out. And there we are. That worked. Okay, I think I need a bit more practice. The mistake I made is I cut this too short and tried to put the bead too close to the edge. I should have inserted it further along and put up against that. The tube was wobbling a little bit, it'd be more stable, but it'll be alright for the next one. I think that'll do. Put it on the car. Okay, there we go. Looking pretty good. I've also put one of my pipe clips around it, and then I will drill a hole through there and pick up that clip from the underneath, which should help keep it sturdy. Yeah, happy with that. So next on to the bottom piece. Okay, so onto the heater. So I've removed the ITBs, the inlet manifold, to do this, and the standard Mini would have a heater control valve that is operated by a lever inside the cabin. You pull it, this opens this valve, and that allows water flow from the water jacket on the engine to flow also through the heater matrix inside the cabin to help warm the cabin up, etc. So I want to use the existing heater matrix in the Mini. I don't want to change that, so I need to build in some sort of heater control valve. So this is what I've got here. So this is like quite a cheap online part. I think it's designed for like kit cards and stuff like that, but it should work fine for this. So what I've done, I've just welded on with my amazing welding, yes I know, this L-shaped bracket, and I've decided on the position, which is I think around there. So it's building up a bracket already here, which is going towards the water pump. So it puts it in a nice position there. Okay, and then I'm going to run the pipe from the thermostat housing here, so that would have been the original mica heater pipe. Yeah, so then I'm going to run some hose around here into this control valve, heater control valve, and then another tube going inside the cabin into the heater matrix. And I'm going to, I've already put it through, this is the existing heater control cable, so the existing pull cable, it's a Bowden type cable, so, and that's what this is designed to accept. So this little section here will grip the outer section of the cable, hold it tight, and then when I pull on that lever, it will open this valve, allowing water through into the heating matrix. So same as per standard Mini, I can control the heating inside the car. So let's get this fitted. Okay, heat control valve installed, cable also installed and bolted down. So, and I've secured the lever inside the cabin on the little switch panel. So let's have a test. Yay! The actuation. Woohoo! Okay, so there we are, cooling system done. Obviously once engine's up and running, and I fill it with coolant. I'm going to make sure I get no leaks and stuff like that, but essentially the plumbing design's done. To overview what I've done, so got a new radiator if you've seen with the electric fan, but I'm keeping this in here for the mock at the moment. So I've done main coolant lines from the engine, return supply from the thermostat housing to the radiator, and I've also done my heater. Sorry, this one here, my heater pipe here for the in-cabin heater, and my heater control valve. Just to show you what it looks like underneath the steering wheel. So the two holes there that I drilled, and then you got the inlet and outlet here. Okay, another thing, it might be hard to see, but what I've installed here is a bleed valve here, because the pipe, as you might be able to see, it comes through the bulkhead and it comes up, and then obviously that means there's a bit of a potential air trap because it's going down then up again. So I want to bleed it traditionally, so I've installed, which is roughly a high point there, I've installed a bleed valve so that when I've got it full of coolant I'll be able to bleed the air out of the system. But we'll see. There we are. I just thought before I finish this video, I thought I'd just answer the question that potentially some people are thinking, is the position of the radiator. So as you know, standard cars typically have the radiator in front of the grille. That's where you get the best airflow for obviously cooling. I've mounted it transverse like the original Mini would have had on the wing. And the reason being I've done that is space. It'd have been very difficult, I think, to fit the radiator down here in front of the engine. I probably would have to cut this metal. I didn't fancy doing that. So I opted to having the radiator position like this, like a traditional Mini. Obviously the traditional Mini has a engine driven fan that's on all the time. It's not possible with this micro engine, so I've got an electric fan mounted to the back, as I've already gone through. Hopefully I've seen this conversion done before and people have managed to do it this way and not had any issues with overheating and stuff like that. So we're going to see how it goes once the Mini's up and running. Potentially if I do see issues, I've been thinking, putting in some sort of baffling or some ducting here just to try and encourage air coming in to go straight through the radiator. So I might do that if I have to, but I'll find that out once it's running and I'm driving it around. So consider this step done. Okay, so next step I'll be looking at the brake system. Hope you enjoy. Civvy.